It's time for another risk and reward, but now we have the addition of the exotic mission rotator in the mix. So the next 3 parts, including this one, will be for those. But before we get into that, allow me to quickly tell you what I mean by risk and reward. This video series is designed around judging exotic weapons and making sure that they are worth the risk and also the reward at the end of it. Both the risk and the reward will be getting a score out of a total of 5. A risk score of 5 means that the exotic weapon is going to be quite difficult to obtain, and a reward score of 5 means that the weapon is going to be very useful, that you'll likely have it on you at all times, if not most of the time. With these type of videos, I won't be considering the meta at all for the scores, because otherwise this is going to be changing every single season and will always be inaccurate, so they're not going to be included whatsoever. So the scores I'm going to give are going to reflect the general toughness of the ways to get these weapons, and the reward score is going to reflect how useful the weapon is. Revision 0 is a strange pulse rifle to me because it's decent as a pulse rifle, but its ability is where it shines a bit. After charging the weapon up by hitting enemies with precision hits, it will have a special firing mode that's basically an anti-barrier sniper rifle. The damage is nice considering that this is a primary weapon, making it a decent choice for taking down mages and red bars, but there are various better alternatives if you want an exotic to do boss DPS. Another bizarre twist about this pulse rifle for me is that you can actually change the firing modes between a 4-round burst and a 2-round burst. Naturally, it's easier to hit the precision shots with the 2-round burst, and at the same time the clip is cut in half to 20, but you would do twice as much damage per hit, whereas the benefit with the 4-round burst is you'll be able to build up the precision hits ability a lot faster with a 4 burst. But let's talk about how you can get this bizarre pulse rifle. You first need to clear the exotic mission known as Operation Seraph Shield, first making its appearance all the way back in Season of the Seraph and being one of the best exotic missions in my opinion, due to it being tough to beat solo at the time, and it also housed some really fun secrets, like for example going to find the good boy robotic dog for the first time, or even locating the scattered exos to unlock higher levels of the intrinsic trait. Unfortunately, they don't appear to be there anymore, which is a big shame because they definitely gave a lot more substance to the mission. However, within Operation Seraph Shield, it is set out quite simple by doing something I personally really enjoyed. It takes the concept of the Deepstone Crypt Raid in terms of pickup items such as Operator, Scanner and Suppressor, and it uses them throughout the entire mission as puzzles for the players to go through. The main reason why I like this is because if you include lesser versions of raid mechanics inside exotic missions, it will help newer players greatly when they finally decide to take the plunge into raids, as they will already understand what each pickup does or how a mechanic works. But the level itself does a great job in providing amusing and fairly simple puzzles for players to solve, with a nice balanced stream of ads to deal with as you go through. That's mostly because this was made before Bungie decided to do its Destiny Souls arc. Another massive plus is that it's in frigging space, so the skybox is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I will never get bored of views like this, even if I see them 100 times. First encounter, I suppose is what you call it, is where you get introduced to the first boss, who then dips out after you do some damage to him. Replacing him will be 3 bricks, and I swear these were far tougher when the mission released because I don't recall being able to take them down this quickly. When they're all down, clear up the rest of the ads and you can progress through. The fact that you get a banner and a heavy ammo box in this room literally means you can spam as much heavy as you want. Speaking of the first boss though, he isn't really anything to scream about because it's just a hive knight with a fair bit of health. So warlocks with wells, you can pretty much rip this guy to pieces like I do here, and hunters and titans you'll have a bit more of a challenge, but as long as you keep your distance between you and the boss, you should be fine. After this boss you basically become acquainted with the suppressor perk and how that works, but you'll eventually reach the final boss of the exotic mission, which is a returning foe, and Bungie has never really done anything like this before, so I'm really surprised they brought back Praxis of all enemies. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. Praxis plays out exactly how you fought him in the Beyond Light campaign, where you need to destroy his shield generators to bring down his shield to go do damage, but there's an extra step that you need to do, because you also need to get Suppressor and suppress him first. Why? I have no idea. This guy was a side boss and now we need to suppress him like he's Tanix 6.0. Never understood why they did this other than they needed a reason to make Suppressor relevant, pretty much like it was in the raid as well, so at least that's consistent. Praxis can be a nuisance with his dust field and cold snap grenades, but if you're aware of when he throws them, it's not too bad. The major focus is really the ads, as that's what will take you down if you're not careful, as a lot of Scorn can spawn in at once, and if you're not mobile, a small horde will sneak up on you and try to break you in half. Perfect solution? Any weapon with incandescent, or a weapon with the equivalent in a different element, like Bolt Shot. Either that or a lingering grenade seems to be pretty effective to bottleneck them as well, like solar grenades for example. You basically just want something that does a lot of AoE clearance and you should be absolutely fine. After ripping through the 3 phases, well done, mission is complete and you should get your revision 0. I don't get one because I maxed mine out back in Season of the Seraph, but I got a disparity red border to complete the pattern, so not all bad for me. Naturally, with this being an exotic mission, you can run this with a fire team and turn the entire mission into a cakewalk. So let's talk risk. With how the difficulty feels now compared to what it was, if this had to be completed solo, I could see this being a 3 or somewhere around there, but because you can run this with a fire team, which can make this a mission a breeze to go through, I'll give this a 2, because it's still something that could be a moderate challenge if it's your first time doing this, but when you get it down and you have a strategy, survivability is the only thing you need to be concerned about, and then it becomes very easy. As for reward, I'd put this as a 3 because whilst it is a pretty good pulse rifle, it has never really been something you must have in a loadout, and more of a nice to have if anything. If you don't have many exotics, then I could recommend getting this just so you have some more variety, as well as an anti-barrier option that isn't dependent on the artifact perks. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a like and a comment telling me what you think about this weapon down below. I would love to hear it. But as usual, I shall see you all in the next video.